As a racist cop makes his rounds through the park, he notices Mike Tyson sitting on a park bench, calmly feeding pigeons and interacting with passers-by. He quickly assumes that Tyson is just another ordinary black man, and, without thinking, his biases cloud his judgment. He marches up to Mike and demands that he leave, saying he doesn't belong there. When Mike Tyson refuses, the cop, in an act of misplaced authority, strikes him with his baton. Little does he know, he has just crossed paths with the wrong person and was about to receive the lesson of a lifetime. Want to know how it all goes down? Hit that subscribe button and like the video to see how the story unfolds. The scene is set on a stunning day at City View Park, the kind of day where the sun beams brightly over lush green grass and clear blue skies. Families are out, enjoying the day, children full of life, and joggers gliding across the paths. Amidst all this, Mike Tyson, the legendary boxer, sits calmly on a bench, dressed in a hoodie and jeans. His aura is peaceful as he feeds the pigeons. A young boy, captivated by the spectacle, races toward the bench, practically bouncing with excitement. As he nears, his face lights up with anticipation, and he exclaims breathlessly, almost unable to believe his own eyes, Are you Mike Tyson?" Mike, still smiling, looks down at him, his eyes full of warmth that contrasts his reputation as a fierce boxer. "That's right, kid," he responds, his voice rich and deep, his chuckle shaking his shoulders. Not missing a beat, Mike offers, "Want an autograph?" The boy's face is a mixture of disbelief and pure joy, nodding furiously. With a swift motion, Tyson takes the notepad from him, his fingers moving with practiced precision as he signs his name. The boy beams with pride, clutching the signed paper like a treasure. As the boy's mother calls him back, gratitude in her tone, a new figure enters the scene, Officer Daniels. Known for his daily patrols, full of scowls and intimidation, Daniels walks through the park with a commanding presence. His short-cropped hair and mirrored sunglasses conceal the cold judgment in his eyes. As he turns the corner, his gaze lands on Mike Tyson, calmly feeding pigeons, surrounded by a peaceful aura. His lips curl into a sneer, his judgment clouding his thoughts. "Just great," he mutters, eyeing the situation. As Officer Daniels moves closer, his thoughts grow more contemptuous. He sneers to himself, another one, loitering around here. Probably up to no good. Wouldn't be surprised if he starts trouble. His lips curl into a smirk, imagining the satisfaction of pushing Mike Tyson out of the park, his badge giving him a false sense of power. The officer approaches Mike Tyson, his body language stiff with authority. He stands tall, chin jutting forward, exuding an air of intimidation. "Hey," he barks sharply, "you can't be sitting here all day. Move along." The pigeons, startled by his aggressive approach, scatter in a flurry of feathers. But Mike Tyson doesn't flinch. His expression remains neutral, yet there's a subtle amusement in his voice as he responds. "I'm just feeding the pigeons, man. Is that a crime?" The contrast between Tyson's calm and Officer Daniels' hostility is striking, like two opposing forces in a standoff. Daniels' eyes narrow, his hand instinctively drifting toward his holster, as if readying himself for an escalation. "Maybe not," he mutters with thinly veiled contempt, "but it ain't right either." Annoyance quickly turns to rage as Officer Daniels steps closer, his temper flaring. "Don't get smart with me," he snaps, the venom in his words sharp as broken glass. "I said move along." His body language becomes more aggressive, his hand inching toward his holster. Mike Tyson stands his ground, unshaken. With a steady gaze, he responds, his words deliberate, "I'm not going anywhere." As the tension builds, a small crowd begins to form, drawn by the rising conflict. Whispers float through the air, adding to the weight of the moment. Despite the growing anger of Officer Daniels, Mike Tyson remains calm, seated on the bench as though he's in a quiet conversation, not an intense standoff. "I'm not bothering anyone," Mike reiterates. "I think you've got the wrong idea about me. I'm just enjoying the park like everyone else." Officer Daniels' frustration reaches a boiling point. He leans in closer, his face inches from Mike's, veins bulging in his neck, eyes blazing with hostility. "I don't care who you think you are," he growls. "Get up now." His command is a guttural roar, his breath heavy against Mike's face. The crowd reacts in shock, a collective gasp filling the air as the officer's fury boils over. Daniels then swings his baton with an explosive crack, striking Mike Tyson squarely in the shoulder. The sound of the impact echoes like thunder, reverberating throughout the park. The crowd reacts instantly, a wave of gasps and protests echoing around the scene. Mike, stunned by the sudden attack, grunts with pain, his body tense. He rises slowly, his imposing figure towering over Officer Daniels. Despite the pain, his expression remains stoic, his eyes like cold, deep pools of water. There's an unspoken challenge between them as Mike locks eyes with Daniels, silently daring him to continue. As the crowd quiets, all eyes are now on the two men. Mike speaks, his voice low and deliberate, the weight of his words heavy. "You didn't have to do that." Officer Daniels, momentarily surprised by Mike's restraint, stumbles over his words. You should have just listened," he mutters, his arrogance fading under the pressure of fear. The tension between them thickens as Officer Daniels, now visibly rattled, steps closer, his baton still clutched tightly in his hand. "What are you going to do about it?" he taunts, his bravado laced with thinly veiled panic. His eyes dart nervously to his baton, but Mike Tyson's presence, like a mountain, makes his confidence crumble. With slow, deliberate steps, Tyson moves closer to Officer Daniels, an immovable force of sheer authority. "I could show you," Tyson growls, his words heavy with unspoken threat. "But first, you're going to apologize to these people for what you just did." The crowd, already leaning in, becomes energized by Mike's unwavering confidence. Daniel's composure cracks as he takes a hesitant step back. His attempts to maintain control slip away. "Apologize?" Daniels spits, his voice dripping with mockery. "To you? Not a chance, Tyson. Not a chance in hell." His voice carries a sense of finality, but the crowd's mounting disapproval chips away at his facade. The onlookers, sensing the growing power dynamic, watch closely, ready for the next move. Mike Tyson's patience, already stretched thin, snaps. He clenches his jaw, his calm demeanor belying the seething rage beneath. Daniels, emboldened by his own taunts, lunges forward with the baton, aiming a wild strike. But Mike Tyson, his reflexes honed to perfection, intercepts the blow effortlessly, gripping the baton like an iron vice. The crowd erupts into gasps of awe and shock as Mike Tyson, with a swift motion, wrenches the baton from Officer Daniels' grasp. Daniels stumbles backward, his eyes wide with disbelief. "You messed with the wrong guy today," Mike Tyson growls, his voice menacing and calm all at once. The threat is clear, as undeniable as the fury in his gaze. "You messed with the wrong guy, in the wrong city, on the wrong day. Now, you're going to pay the price." Officer Daniels, his bravado now shattered, hesitates before launching a desperate, untrained punch. But Mike Tyson, with the fluidity of a predator, dodges it with ease, countering with a series of precise strikes that land with devastating accuracy. Officer Daniels staggers backward, unable to keep up with the relentless onslaught. The crowd watches in awe as Mike Tyson's martial prowess forces the officer to his knees. The scene is chaotic, but the energy of the crowd is palpable, as their cheers and gasps fill the air. Through all the chaos, a familiar face emerges from the crowd, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, clapping in admiration. His eyes are filled with respect as he silently acknowledges Mike Tyson's skill. Mike, despite the victory, remains stoic. He allows Officer Daniels to regain his footing before speaking again, his voice calm but firm. "I could have hurt you," Tyson admits, his tone unwavering, "but that's not who I am. I'm not like you." The crowd, silent in their awe of his restraint, watches as Daniels crumbles under the weight of Mike's words. His shoulders sag, his pride shattered. His gaze darts around the crowd, but all he sees is the unblinking gaze of the people he's failed. "You see," Mike continues, pointing toward the crowd, "these people saw what you did. They saw you a representative of the law, assault an unarmed citizen. And they saw me defend what's right." The crowd responds with a resounding cheer, their voices echoing their approval. The senior officer arrives on the scene, his expression dark and stern. "Daniels," he barks, his voice booming. "What's going on here?" His piercing gaze takes in the scene before him. Daniels opens his mouth to speak, but no words come. His tongue is tied by fear, and the crowd's growing outrage makes it clear that his actions will not go unpunished. "Get up," the senior officer orders, his voice hard as steel. The crowd watches with rapt attention as Daniels, now fully aware of his impending downfall, takes his badge and gun off, his hands trembling with shame. The onlookers cheer in triumphant approval as Daniels is escorted away like a disgraced figure. In the aftermath, the crowd's cheers continue to echo throughout the park, a celebration of justice. A young boy, inspired by Mike Tyson's heroism, approaches the boxer. "You're really a hero, Mr. Tyson," he says, his voice filled with admiration. Mike Tyson smiles warmly, lowering himself to the boy's level. "The real heroes," he says, his voice rich with wisdom, "are the ones who stand up for what's right. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. Always remember that." The boy nods, his face glowing with newfound resolve, as the onlookers disperse, their admiration for Tyson spreading through the city like wildfire. Mike Tyson, ever humble, returns to his bench, once again feeding the pigeons, as the peaceful tranquility of the park returns. The narrator's voice gently brings the story to a close. On this day in City View Park, one single moment changed the course of many lives. For Mike Tyson, it was a reminder of the power of standing up for what's right. For the boy, a lesson in courage. And for the city, a demonstration of justice. Sometimes, heroes come from the most unexpected places.